I'm going to pick right up where I left off. Today's talk is called Reason, Season, Lifetime. And last week we left with Mel and Thomas Benedict, who was the fellow who we said had a near-death experience. But the truth is he died. He was gone for an hour and a half. His body was cold, it was stiff. He was out of here. And he left and had this experience with the light and left us some amazing insights. And by the way, I didn't tell you last week that when he came back after a time of sort of getting back into his body again, his cancer was absolutely, completely gone. Completely gone. Completely gone. It was amazing. And so I want to share some insights that I left you with last time and continue with them. More than anything, I began to see that each one of us humans are soulmates. We are part of the same fractaling out in many creative directions, but still the same. Now I look at every human being that I ever see, and I see a soulmate, my soulmate, the one I've always been looking for. Beyond that, the greatest soulmate that you'll ever have is yourself. Start having the greatest love affair you've ever had with yourself. The terrible things that happen to people might make them do evil things, but their souls are not evil. What all people seek, what sustains us, is love. The light told me this. What distorts us is a lack of love. And that's all what's going on here. Course in Miracles says two things are going on. Extending love or calling for love. The Bible, and the children's quote that I used, love God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul, with all of your strength, and love your neighbor, and I add, your enemy, as yourself. Because there's only one self. There's only one love in many different forms. Factolating out there into the world in many different forms. There's really only one presence and one power. One spirit in many different forms. We went to sleep and we started going off on these separate journeys. Imagine with me, you're at a big table, a big feast, a table that's all about your next incarnation. This is right before you came into your body. And remember now, Paul in the Bible says, just as you have a physical body, so you have a spiritual body. And the spiritual body creates the physical body. So you're at this table now, and you're with all your most bestest, closest soul mates. You're all mates. You know each other. You love each other. You're not lost in separation yet. And you're planning your next incarnation. And you're having a really good time. The energy's really high. Everybody's excited. It's not like a boring meeting you have to go to. It's one you want to be at. And everybody's there and everybody's going, this is going to be great. And you pick the geographic location. You pick the possible time. You pick the parents. And different people in your little soul party, your soulmates, put their hands up and say, I'll play a particular role this time. Kristen's hand went up. But she wasn't Kristen then, and said, I'll join Richard and Maureen Levy, and I'll be their third child, and I'll have a terminal illness, and I'll only stay for 5 years. You helped me last time with something. I'll help you this time with something. Everybody takes a different role. Everybody takes a different assignment. And they say, I'd love to be your ma, your pa, or that person at work that bothers you all the time. Or I'll be part of the Democrats or the Republicans. I'll be a Tea Party person. I'll show up at the coffee clutch. I'll be whatever you need me to be to help you learn the one lesson of love and the end of separation. Everything is a call for love or an awakening to that love. And so then there's this great moment when everything is just right, where all of a sudden this great energy of remembering goes into forgetting. And it gets real small, and you end up fractaling into a body. Mine was Alvin and Rhoda, Thelma and Joseph. They got together, and they had Lisa, and they had Debbie, and they had Richard. Poof! Here I am, and I'm back, and I'm completely forgotten again what I'm here for. Maureen, who's delivered over 1,000 babies, says there's so many different ways that babies come into the body. You look at some of them, and you know that they're shocked that they're back. I remember the workshop. I was the Buddha. What happened? I'm back at one of these things again, my God. Or the ones that come in, oh, Or like the Dalai Lamas, the Tibetans, they literally know when the next Lama, the Panchen Lama, is coming because it's so clear about it. We do this every time. We set up a lifetime of learning to awaken. So the reason is to awaken to love. That's why you're here. There's no other reason for the season. The season is just the changes you go through, the challenges that you face, the difficulty, the way in which you meet yourself in casual relationships, in more intense relationships, and lifetime relationships. All of them have but one purpose: to help you awaken to who you are. There's nothing else going on here. When I stay aware of that everybody's my soulmate, that everybody's part of me, I call it a really good day. The Course in Miracles talks about this thing and how it happens. And it says in the Course, there are no accidents in God's plan for salvation. That those who are to meet will one day meet again. For it is the destiny of every relationship to become a holy one. But you can't meet everybody, so the plan calls for you meet some of the hands that went up and said, well, I'm going to be with you this time, and we'll be together. We'll have a mother and a father and a situation. We all have situations to deal with. And we all put our hands up and said, I'll play that role with you. You played it with me last time. So all relationships become opportunities for awakening. The first one's called the casual encounter. I like this one the most. It's two apparent strangers bumping into each other, not getting mad. A child bumping into somebody in the elevator, and you look down and you say, oh look, there's that child, and you touch that child. Two students walking home, of course, says, and just happening to have this conversation. They never knew each other before. None of these are by accident. Every one of them has the opportunity to become an optimal teacher-learning situation where you get to experience love in that moment with that person. I had one this week. I was getting some vacuum cleaner bags for your vacuum cleaner, not the bags, but the belt broke, and it's a really nice vacuum cleaner, like some terrible directions, across the street. And I said, I need to get a key made for our house, for our kids. And he said, well, let me tell you where to go get a key. So he told me, go down car or curb. Is it car or curb? Whatever. You're from New York, it's car. For me, car. Anyway, there's a little place, there's a tool place. You go to that tool place, and that's where you can get a key made. So I went in to the store, which was totally empty, and there's two guys, not empty, the two guys were there, but there's nobody in there but me. And I walked in and I said, hi, I need to get a key made. And he said, well, we would love to help you do that. I was like, what? Okay. And they both stopped what they were doing and they said, but we don't make keys here. But we're going to tell you how to do this. And literally it was like they were so excited to see me. And they said, you go down 2 miles. Exactly 2 miles. Set your odometer. 2 miles. Ace Hardware Store. Great store down the road. He's got all the blank keys for any key you might ever need. And that's where you'll get it done. And I said, well, thanks. And they said, if you ever need anything from us here in this store, you come back. You be sure and come back. Are you here? And I went, okay. And I walked out and I went, what was that? Who were those masked people, Kimo-san? They were divine beings. I don't even know if that store exists. I don't think it's really there. They were just two beings, immortal beings, who were giving me a moment to get a blessing. 1 second is enough, of course, the miracle says. Heaven has come to earth in that moment. The second level is the more sustained teacher-learning relationship, where two people get together in a fairly intense teacher-learning situation. You know those ones? They're talking about you now. You're the other person, right? The relationship happens. Very intense. It happens for a while. And then it's done. Everybody's learned what they can from that moment. The Course in Miracles says there's no accidents in that either. That if it's done for the moment, it might be done for the moment. But if there's more work to do, guess what? I'll be back. You'll hit that person again. That energy will come back again. But the Course says sometimes it means for a while you appear to separate. But no one can fail to find the help that they need in any one of these relationships. The last one is a personal favorite, and I just want to share this with you because it's actually, the Course in Miracles is not very funny reading, but this is this level. The third level of teaching occurs in relationships which, once they are formed, they're lifelong. These are teacher-learning situations in which each person is given a chosen learning partner who presents him or her with unlimited opportunities for learning. These relationships are generally few because their existence implies that those involved have reached a stage simultaneously in which the teacher-learning balance is actually perfect. This does not mean they necessarily recognize this. In fact, they generally do not. They might even be quite hostile to each other, perhaps for life. But if the lesson can be learned in that relationship, great healing can happen. So who are those lifetime relationship partners? Well, I always thought they were people who were kind of equal with me, like me and Maureen. They could be mommy or daddy or sister or brother or uncle or aunt or niece. Every one of them is in it for the lifetime. You tell me all day, that's my ex. And I'll tell you, yeah, that's the ex. That's the one you're still going to work with. And I don't mean this means go back and live with her or him again, or it again, or that situation. But it's a hot-fired button, and that's a lifetime issue you're getting to work on, with flesh on. Very powerful, powerful teaching. No one can fail to find the help that they need in the moment that they need it.